Everything is mid. Bullets flying from angry automatic weapons. Bruce Willis crawling through air ducts and cracking wise. Hans Gruber falling in slow motion from an exploding skyscraper. Die Hard isn't just a movie. It's an adrenaline-fueled monument to action cinema. But beneath the broken glass and machine gun fire, this tale of one man against the world unfolds on Christmas Eve, surrounded by holiday music, twinkling lights, and themes of family and redemption. With its mix of pulse-pounding thrills and Yuletide vibes, one question remains. Is Die Hard really a Christmas movie? I have always held firm that Die Hard is a Christmas time movie. Not a Christmas movie per se, but Christmas adjacent. However, for this video, I decided to play devil's advocate and do a deep dive into the argument that Die Hard is in fact a Christmas movie. After doing some research, I stumbled on a surprisingly compelling argument. One so compelling, it made me pause. But is it enough to make me change my mind? Enough to convince me that Die Hard belongs not just nestled next to Santa's stocking, but nestled right inside to be a bona fide Christmas movie? Well, before we here at the EIM editorial offices can sleigh ride to that answer, we need to establish some ground rules. What exactly makes a Christmas movie, well, a Christmas movie? To find out, we'll break down the key elements that make up a classic Christmas story. Elements that, fun fact, are deeply rooted in the Nativity, and we'll see how Die Hard stacks up. Spoiler alert, it's about to get festive. To figure out whether Die Hard deserves a spot on Santa's nice list of Christmas movies, we need to look at the holiday classics that define the genre. I'm going to go to The Nativity and A Christmas Carol, that has sometimes been referred to as the Fifth Gospel. These are as foundational to Christmas stories as candy canes and tinsel are to a Christmas tree. Together, they lay out a blueprint for what makes a Christmas story Christmassy. First up, Christmas values are about life, and specifically the beginning of new life and the hope that it brings. The Nativity is the ultimate example. The whole story is centered on a birth, symbolizing the dawn of a new era. But it's not just about physical life. It's about renewal of the soul. The idea that through this birth, the entire world is offered redemption. It's a fresh start, a second chance. And in a similar fashion, A Christmas Carol takes Scrooge, a man whose soul is as frozen as the snowdrifts outside, and gives him a rebirth. By the end, he's a changed man, overflowing with joy and generosity, and the Christmas spirit. Redemption through renewal is one of the key pillars to a Christmas story. So does Die Hard offer that same sense of spiritual renewal? Or is John McClane too busy dodging bullets to find redemption? Then there's the contrast of light and warmth and darkness and the cold. Another hallmark of the season. Christmas stories thrive on these metaphors. The Nativity offers the guiding star piercing the night sky, leading people to the light of hope and renewal. Meanwhile, in A Christmas Carol, Scrooge's cold, empty house transforms into a place of warmth, laughter, and family. This contrast isn't just a visual, it's symbolic. The darkness represents despair and isolation and bitterness,
Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force,
while the light and warmth are signs of redemption, love, and connection. It's about finding or creating light where there is none, and sharing it to bring others closer. At its heart, every true Christmas story says, hey, the world's not perfect, far from it, but there's a reason to keep going. Whether it's a family huddled around a manger, or an old miser rediscovering his humanity, or George Bailey realizing that his life matters. These stories embrace the messiness of life, while holding on to the promise that there's something better. That hope doesn't always arrive fully formed. It's the beginning of something brighter, the first flicker in a long dark night. So is Die Hard simply about survival? Or is there a deeper hope buried beneath the machine gun fire? Finally, any Christmas story worth its snow has to include saving Christmas. If there's one thing that Christmas stories love, it's a good old race against time to save the holiday. The stakes couldn't be any higher. Santa's sleigh is grounded. Christmas morning is teetering on disaster. Or the very spirit of Christmas is on the line. From Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, guiding Santa's sleigh through the blizzard, to Elf's Buddy, restoring enough Christmas spirit to power Santa's sleigh. These tales show us that saving Christmas is more than just beating the clock. It's about preserving love and hope and connection. Even Home Alone turns Kevin's chaotic fight to protect his home into a mission to reunite his family for Christmas morning. In Die Hard, John McClane is saving lives, including his wife's, but is the gift of survival enough to call McClane's exploits a Christmas save? Well, we'll get to that. But for now, the important thing is that we have nailed down the 3 key boxes that Die Hard needs to check. Before we slap that Santa hat on John McClane, let's take a closer look at how this action-packed extravaganza measures up to the Christmas Story checklist. Buckle up, it's about to get holly and jolly. New life. Rediscovering what matters. Every Christmas story needs a hearth, a place of warmth, of connection, and of belonging. At first, Die Hard seems to present that in the form of the Nakatomi Plaza Christmas party. There's music, laughter, and festive decor. But take a closer look, and you'll see the cracks. This party is no cozy hearth. It's corporate pageantry. The employees are co-workers, not family. Even Holly has traded her family name for Gennaro. Side note, I even wonder if they chose the name Gennaro because it was a play off of the word generic, erasing Holly of any real individual identity. Now, if your name's Gennaro, I'm sure you're quite the individual. Don't get me wrong. But you see what I'm saying. Anyway, it's no wonder that John McClane feels so out of place. He's a New York cop clinging to the values of home and hearth, protecting the community, while watching his beloved slip away into this cold corporate world. As the story progresses, John's physical journey up the Nakatomi Tower mirrors his emotional journey within. Each step upward strips away the illusion of holiday hearth, the warmth of the party giving way to sterile executive offices, and soon even those are obliterated by violence. By the time John is crawling through the air ducts and climbing girders in the building's unfinished skeleton, he's as far from the comfort of home as he can get, both physically and emotionally. But it's in this raw, exposed place that John begins to reconnect with what truly matters. His radio conversations with Sergeant Al Powell reveal his regret, his longing for his family, and his realization that he's been taking them for granted. As the building crumbles around him, John begins to rebuild something within himself. At its core, Die Hard is a story of survival. But for John McClane, survival isn't enough. It's about redemption. Like Scrooge in A Christmas Carol, John starts the story isolated, bitter, and clinging to his pride. His estranged relationship with Holly is the result of his inability to let go of the past. And the holiday season only sharpens his sense of failure. But Christmas stories thrive on hope in desperate times. And John's night at Nakatomi Plaza is nothing else if not desperate. As the night unfolds, John's transformation begins. His acts of courage, saving the hostages, outsmarting Hans, and taking brutal risks aren't just about being a hero. They're about proving to Holly and to himself that he can change. He may be battered and bloodied and running barefoot on broken glass, but every step he takes is towards redemption.
She's heard me say I love you 1,000 times. She never heard me say I'm sorry. And I want you to tell her that, Al. I want you to tell her that John said that he was sorry. Okay?
By the time he finally confronts Hans, John isn't just fighting to survive. He's fighting to reclaim his place in his family. And in classic Christmas fashion, John's redemption doesn't come without sacrifice. Along the way, he loses his sense of safety, physical comfort, and even a good chunk of his dignity. But what he gains, a renewed sense of hope, love, and connection with Holly, Al, and ultimately his kids as well. So is this arc of redemption enough to align John McClane with the likes of George Bailey and Ebenezer Scrooge? Or is it simply the kind of grit that we expect from our action heroes? Number 2. Light in the darkness, a lone candle in the void. Christmas stories are about warmth and light, breaking through the cold and the dark, a metaphor for hope and salvation. John McClane's journey through the Nakatomi building is drenched in darkness, both literal and figurative. And yet, through the chaos, John becomes kind of a guiding star, a lone candle burning against the night. For the hostages, John is their only hope. With no support and resources, he improvises his way through the darkness, using only his grit, wit, and a bit of luck to chip away at Hans Gruber's nefarious plans. But the light John brings isn't just for the hostages. It's for Holly, too. She sees through his bruises and blood to the man that she once fell in love with, the man who will risk everything to protect those who he loves. In classic Christmas fashion, this light also reflects back onto John. As he fights his way through the building's chaos, he's forced to confront his own darkness, his stubbornness, his pride, and his mistakes. Each flicker of light, whether it's the glow of a burning office or the flash of gunfire, illuminates his growing determination to become a better man. The question is, does John's flickering light burn brightly enough to carry the weight of the Christmas spirit? Or is it just the glow of an action hero doing his job? Saving Christmas in the Saint Nick of Time, the final redemption. If Christmas stories are about light breaking through the darkness and hope emerging from despair, they always do so under the pressure of a ticking clock. Whether it's George Bailey racing to stop his own despair in It's a Wonderful Life, Scrooge waking up just in time to make amends in A Christmas Carol, or Santa's sleigh narrowly saving Christmas for Whoville, the stakes are always high, and resolution comes in the Saint Nick of Time, and Die Hard is no exception. From the very beginning, John McClane is racing against the clock. The terrorists plan to detonate the roof and kill the hostages. But the stakes go even deeper than physical survival. Like many Christmas stories, the real goal isn't about saving lives. It's about saving humanity. It's about protecting what Christmas represents: love, connection, redemption. And John's triumphs isn't just in his bare-knuckled, explosive heroics. It's in his personal change of heart, his willingness to put his pride aside, to admit his faults, and to fight for not just survival, but for family, as literally represented by the actual saving of his wife. And this, my friends, has been John's internal story all along, fighting his way back to Holly, fighting to save their marriage. Maybe the question we should be asking is Die Hard a Valentine's Day movie? And there you have it. By tying John's personal journey to the elements of Christmas storytelling, Die Hard becomes more than just a series of explosions and one-liners. It becomes the tale of a man rediscovering what really matters, finding light in the darkest moments, and grasping at hope in the face of despair. The question remains, though, is this enough to make Die Hard a true Christmas movie? Or is it simply a brilliant action flick wearing a Santa's hat? Let's dig deeper into the final verdict. John isn't the only character seeking redemption. Sergeant Al Powell's arc runs parallel to John's, reinforcing the story's deeper themes. When we meet Al, he's a desk cop, haunted by the mistakes of his past. He once shot a kid by accident, and he hasn't drawn his gun since. This guilt has left him sidelined, unable to truly be the protector that he once was. Through his radio conversations with John, Al begins to heal. In turn, Al provides John with the emotional support that he needs, becoming the stand-in for warmth and humanity as he is trapped inside the cold, chaotic tower. Meaning Al gets to be that little ember of light in the night. But for Al, his real moment of redemption comes in the final minutes of the film, when he faces his greatest fears and draws his gun to save John and Holly from the last remaining terrorist. In a moment that mirrors John's journey, Al finds his courage and purpose, proving that even in the darkest of circumstances, redemption is possible. Just as John rescues his family from physical and emotional collapse, Al rescues himself from the weight of his guilt. Together, their arcs underscore one of the most enduring themes of Christmas stories. And that's what's great about Christmas stories. They're more than just tinsel and mistletoe. It's the transformative power of love, hope, and second chances. John learns to let go of his stubborn pride and become a father and husband once again. Al regains his courage and sense of duty. Even Holly reclaims her humanity by reconnecting with John and affirming her identity as part of a family when she reclaims her married name.
Al is my wife, Holly. Holly Gennaro.
Holly McClain.
Hello, Holly. You got yourself a good man.
In the end, the building may be a smoldering ruin, but the characters have rebuilt themselves, stronger and more united than before. And with John having saved both the day and his marriage, Christmas is saved. And Santa delivers. Now, that said, we don't actually see Christmas morning with the family. And for the conclusion of a Christmas story, that's a scene you really want to see. We want to see the kids waking up Christmas morning and finding Daddy under the tree, so to speak. It would be the visual payoff that Christmas has indeed been saved. So it's close on that one, but So, does Die Hard meet the criteria of being a Christmas story? It has the light in the darkness, and the hope in desperate times. It has the ticking clock and the last-minute triumph, and the redemptive arcs of not just one, but two protagonists. Maybe even three. It even has the snow-like sprinkling of falling paper and the sound of "Let It Snow" as the credits roll. But is that enough to wrap it up and slide it under the tree as an official Christmas movie? Well, let's hear what Bruce Willis has to say on the matter.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, okay, so that's one man's opinion. What's yours? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no? What would you put on your top 10 Christmas movies, specials, and or stories? In reality, there are many different elements that make up a Christmas story. I chose to focus on these three. Would you go with my top three, or would you swap them out for something else? Let us know in the comments section. It's where all savvy viewers sound off and join the conversation. Seriously, I mean, you sat through this whole video. We've made it to the end together. You know what I think? Now it's your turn. Oh, and one more thing. On behalf of the EIM editorial offices, Merry Christmas.
So yippee-ki-yay to all of you mother. Good night!